record on this computer. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, ladies. How is everyone out there on this beautiful Sunday afternoon before Thanksgiving, right? Can you all believe that we are almost, at the end of the year? Before we know it, we'll be saying Happy New Year.
I know.
So thank you so much. I know we're getting kind of a late start. I'm Jacqueline Kabah-Harrison. You have joined us for A Queen's Roundtable Show, which happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month. For those of you that don't know, I'm kind of moving a little bit slower. I broke my wrist recently, so, I'm still keeping going with everything, but just running a little bit slower. So thank you for your patience. So again, this is A Queen's Roundtable Show every second and fourth Sunday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I bring on a phenomenal entrepreneur, and we basically just talk openly and honestly about entrepreneurship and just kind of where we are in that journey, hoping to provide inspiration as well as, education and tools and techniques of how to be successful in your business. So without further ado, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rolanda Sumner, and I am the CEO and founder of Life After Service Transitional Coaching. And basically what I do is I help two groups. One, my passion is to help women veterans transitioning out of the military start their own businesses from scratch. And then the second group I work with are corporations, and I help them retain their veteran new hires.
Okay, say that one more time. I know you work with corporations, you help them to retain their veterans that are new hires.
Yes.
And what was the first piece?
And I help women veterans transitioning out of the military start their businesses from scratch.
Oh, wow. That is excellent. That is so, oh my God, that is phenomenal. Because I guess that would, and I know we'll get into it a little bit later, but that is that can be a big transition, right?
Yes, it is. It's a really big transition.
So you know what? Go ahead and just and I'm super excited to hear from you. It's not all the time that I interview someone that is are you in the Army or
I was in the Army. I retired in 2015.
Okay, wow. So it's not every day, so I'm super excited. But before we get into that, let the audience know, just tell us a little bit more about yourself, like where you live, if you have any children, if you're from a big family, things of that nature.
So I'm a mother, a wife. I have lots of fur babies. I have a sister and a mom, but all in all, I come from a really, really big family. My mom is one of 8. And everybody had kids. So I know what it's like to have like a little tiny family like me, my sister, and my mom. And I also know what it's like to be a part of a humongous family and big family gatherings. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. Everybody had a side hustle. And then when the main hustle didn't work out, they started their own business in some way, shape, or fashion. So when it was time for me to start a business, and when I really got focused and was like, I'm going to start this business, I had a lot of support and a lot of encouragement. And it was, this is my second business, but some people have absolutely no support from their family. And I really can't speak to that because I had aunts and my mom and my sister and my grandmother and, people in my corner saying, no, this is a great idea, or this is what you should try, or let me try your products, to genuinely tell you how I feel about them. And,
So you know what, that's great because you're right. A lot of individuals, myself included, don't really have a lot of support at all. So this is wonderful that you are here to be able to provide that type of support for others, because that could be that you could be that changing agent that would make that difference between that person starting that business and just saying, oh, I'm not able to do this, I'm just going to forget about that. You know what I mean? So I think the work that you're doing is so important.
Thank you. Yeah. I just feel like when you're transitioning out, like you give the years that you're in the military, you really absorb the lifestyle. And it doesn't matter if you're National Guard, Reserve, regular Army, it doesn't matter what component, you really do absorb the lifestyle. It becomes a part of you. So you're more prone to give up your dreams or put them on hold or adopt your organization's values so you can serve the mission. But when you get out, you don't really know who you are without your uniform. You're trying to figure it out.
Okay.
So you're trying to figure out what you wanted before you got in and what your values are. And you have to work a job. Most of us have to work a job because you're used to a certain standard of living. So you have to support that, and you have a family, but you really want to just work for yourself. You want to make your own rules because you've been working by someone else's rules wholeheartedly for so long. And it could be a little complicated because one of the misconceptions is women veterans don't want businesses. We just want jobs. And that's not true at all. We take a job because we have to feed the family, but many of us want our own businesses. And then it's nice to have, as service members, we're kind of codependent because we're used to having that ready-made support system right there. So when you get out, that ready-made support system may not be there. So I step in and I'm like, look, I'm going to help you with your mindset issues. I'm going to help you really figure out what's important to you and verbalize what you really want at your core, what your dream life is, so you can then start a business that accompanies or that, shapes around what you want, as opposed to the other way around. Then you find yourself having a business 5 years and you're like, I don't like this business.
Right.
It's nothing that I thought it was going to be.
Right. What am I doing?
Yeah. And I'm also there to say, like, look, you're having a hard day. We don't have to talk business. What's going on? Help you with the next step. So that's where I'm better than the SBA and SBDC.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What state are you in? And is that where you grew up? Or?
No, I'm in South Carolina, in the upstate, in the Greenville area. I grew up in Boston, and I didn't come down here until 2015 through the military. And I miss it from time to time, but it's really cold and expensive, and I've just really grown to love the South.
Is it really? Now, see, I've never been to Boston. I know it's, East Coast, and I don't really hear too much of an accent. But is it really that expensive to live there? I didn't know that. Okay.
It is. I didn't have much of an accent when I was there, and then when I came down, I kind of lost some of it because I've been immersed in, the South, and my husband's Southern and such. Okay. But it is very expensive. So a house that you would pay $150,000 here, you'll pay like $350,000 or $400,000 up north.
Really? I didn't
realize. You get paid more, but it doesn't go as far.
I didn't know that. I mean, because
housing is really expensive.
I'm in Michigan, and I've lived in New York, and I know the prices are very high in New York and Connecticut.
It's around there. Okay. So it's not as expensive as New York, but it probably feels the same as Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut. Okay. Now, while you're living there, you don't really notice it because you're used to it.
Okay.
But then when you come to the South, you're like, wait, how much is car insurance? That's it. You're really shocked about car insurance and property insurance. And oh my goodness, I had gotten a whole entire house and almost paid for it in cash because I saved up all this money.
I don't even want to hear it. Because Michigan has I relocated. I'm originally from Michigan. I relocated back here in 2015 from from New York. Come to find out, our car insurance here is like the highest just within the United States. That's ridiculous.
Seriously?
Right? Even
I would have
higher
never
than
thought.
New York. Me either.
Oh my God. I would have never thought that.
But okay, so you're in the South. Okay, cool. Yes. Nice. So now is your business, is it strictly online, or do you have like a physical office space?
So I work from my home, as you can see. I have to redo the room, but I work from home. But then I travel to businesses. So my corporate side of the business, I work with corporations to help them retain their veterans. Okay. I will travel to them to do my work. But everything else I do online or on the phone, mostly through Zoom or Uber conference. Okay. My clients like it that way because they don't want to have to leave their house. And, who doesn't want to have a coaching session in their pajamas? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very convenient. I mean, just the technology today has really made it possible to do this. And you can talk to anyone wherever they are in the world, so it's phenomenal.
And it's
So,
cost effective.
and it's cost, yep, there you go. And it's cost effective. So I try to, I'm a social worker. I don't know if you know that, but I'm a therapist. So it's just, this is a lot of fun for me. Just kind of really like getting to know the person behind the title, if you will. You
Yeah.
know. So having said that, well, I don't know if you said it and maybe I missed it. How long have you been in business?
This business is a little over a year, almost a year and a half. My
Okay.
first business was 2.5 years.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So let me just ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
I guess first, I always like to ask, and I think we may have touched on it just slightly, but what would you say your main why is behind your business?
Um, so my passion is to help veterans on this side of the fence. Um, because I transitioned out and it wasn't smooth. It was a little rough. And it was rough in the sense that I was trying to figure out how to start a business. I was really scared and I held off on an idea I had for years before I actually launched it. And then finally, circumstances were like, okay, you have no more excuses. You need to do this.
Okay.
And it was rough on the employment side as well, trying to acclimate to a new culture and not knowing the rules. So I want to make it easier for other veterans, particularly women veterans, because we're just starting to claim our hero status and people are just starting to recognize us as part of like the veteran community. But particularly women veterans, I want to help. So regardless if it's, me helping you start your business, which I really believe in entrepreneurship, or if you're like, look, I'm in the workplace and I want to keep my job. I really want to help in those spaces because it's not easy when you get out. You're so indoctrinated into the organization. You're so everything is about the mission until you get out, and then it's not.
Okay.
So you could use as much support as possible from someone who's walked the walk and said, hey, I've gone through it. I made mistakes. Let me help you get through it smoother. So that's my main passion.
What made you decide to transition out?
I was medically retired at 20 years. I had deployed and I had developed some mental health and physical health issues, and I wasn't medically fit to stay in the military. So I retired out at 20 years. And honestly, it was probably time because mentally I just wasn't into it anymore.
Okay.
So I had to leave the military.
Okay.
Some people they're able to plan better for their retirement. Some people, they make a decision and they're like, okay, I'm going to take several years to transition. I had about a year to transition out, but I still felt unprepared when I got out. I was still kind of lost.
Okay. Okay. You don't even look like you old enough to have been in for
Good
like
genes.
20 years. Oh my God.
Good genes.
Wow. Okay. So that tells us a little bit about how your business came about and your why behind your business. Now, just like, I guess more on a personal note, what would you say your biggest challenge has been, whether it be, professionally or personally?
I would love to say it was external forces like lack of money or resources, but honestly, when it boils down to it, the concentrated part is it was me. For a long time, I let fear get in my way of pushing through obstacles, and I had told myself all kind of stories about why I couldn't do something or why I wasn't good enough to do something or how come I wasn't smart enough. And so honestly, the bottom line answer was it was because of me. I got in my own way for a long time. And it was necessary because now I understand what it looks like to be in your own way. And now I'm like, I will not get in my own way. If I find that I'm getting in my own way, or if one of my coaches or my friends are like, look, get out of your way, Rolanda, then I know what it feels like. And I'm like, okay, I need to forge forward. But, maybe even 5 years ago, I was just still am very insecure about my abilities and my intelligence and my capability to make a life that I was proud of and happy. And not to say I wasn't proud of being in the military, but a life that I designed that I'm like, yes, you know, I did that.
Okay.
I lived in a
So,
lot of dreams
so it,
and little action.
oh, okay, a lot of dreams and little action. So it sounds like there was a lot of negative self-talk, I guess, and a lot of like that was
Yes,
going on. Okay. So,
absolutely.
so how did you overcome that? How were you able to address that? Just, I mean, I know probably it was
Hmm.
a series of things, but if they could just
Hmm.
have one takeaway, how would you say?
Um, I had to want it. I had to want transformation more than I wanted to stay in a bad space, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
okay,
So one of the reasons I was medically discharged from the Army is because I was suicidal through the PTSD. It was a very dark space. But when I was in that space, it was bad, but it felt good.
okay,
Once I saw that how it was affecting my family, I had to want to be out of that space and be in a much better place more than I wanted to not do the work. Because it was a lot of work. It was like years of work and medication and counseling and all kinds of stuff. And sometimes I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired. So all in all, I had to want to be in a better place more than I wanted to just stay still and complain about it.
okay,
So, and there were several things that happened. Like it was the realization that I have to fix this. Like I have to pray and I have to use the resources at my fingertips and I have to forge forward when it's really painful. I Last year I went to coaching school, IPEC, which was really transformational. And it's after years of going to counseling and stuff. And
mm-hmm.
I really had to face my own demons. Like, okay, Rolanda, you're telling yourself lies. Like you are smart enough. You're not stupid. Um, you are pretty enough. You have everything you need. God gave me everything I needed to fulfill my dreams. And I had to continuously work on telling myself the truth, which is really hard because it's easy to stay in the space of victim. It's really easy to be the victim, and it's
Yeah.
really difficult to get out of that space and stay out of that space sometimes. So bottom line, I had to want to be out of that space more than I wanted to be the victim.
Okay, okay, that's fair. And or should I say, I understand that. Okay, and you're right. It is easy to take on the victim mentality and to just kind of relish in it, if you will. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. Okay. So I'd like to ask you now, how do you practice, having said, gone through all of that, how do you practice, ensure that you practice good self-care? And this always comes up, and I think it's extremely important to actually talk about this and to really, acknowledge the importance of it.
So one of the things I do for self-care is I stay in tune with how I feel physically and mentally. Um, if I'm tired, if I'm grumpy, um, if I have like a foggy brain, I have to remember, okay, Rolanda, you need to get your rest. You're not, Gary Vaynerchuk. You're not going to be up 24 hours a day. It's just not your thing. What if I don't exercise, and I need to exercise more often, more consistently, but I feel a lot better, more energetic if I'm moving, if I'm active, eating right. I love sweets and junk and stuff, but if I eat too much of it, I'm just not, I'm not at my best. And it's all of this sounds really cliche, but for me, it's important because I can find myself slipping back into depression, or my anxiety is more hyped up, or, I'm hyper vigilant, like PTSD hyper vigilant. And then I have to sit back and be like, okay, are you taking care of yourself? How is stress affecting you? Are you meditating in the morning? Are you praying? Are you journaling? Do you need a nap? Do I
I
need to
like
go to
that. Do I need
bed?
to go lay down somewhere? Go sit down somewhere for a
Yes.
minute.
So I have to stay in tune with myself. And then I also have to be okay with when my family comes to me and they're like, are you okay, Rolanda? Like,
Mhm.
what's wrong with you? I can't take it personal.
Right. You know what? Just in case there's some individuals out there that may not really understand the PTSD,
Uh-huh.
just just briefly, just could you just let the audience know like what that
Mm-hmm.
is?
PTSD is post-traumatic stress syndrome, and anyone who has experienced trauma firsthand or secondhand can have it. You don't have to be in the military. You don't have to be the direct victim. But you do need to see someone if you're not sleeping, if you're having nightmares, if you're hypervigilant. And hypervigilant is like you can hear a noise. You can hear a noise that sounds like a truck, but now you're all worked up and you can't settle in. If your anxiety is bad, if you're not eating, overeating, if you're losing time, there's so many, look it up on Google. There's so many different symptoms. Just read the symptoms. And if you reach, 2 or 3 of them and you're concerned, see a mental health professional because it's something you can't handle alone.
It's so funny because oh my God, and just about every interview this comes up something in reference. Well, we always talk about self-care and mental health, mental health within the African American community, and in terms of, and I don't want to get too off course, but just in
Mm-hmm.
terms of not viewing it as a stigma and that it's okay, like you said, to acknowledge that you kind of wave the
Mm-hmm.
little flag, a little, saying, hey, I need a little help over here, or not quite sure what's going on, or maybe
Yeah.
I just need some help, but
I mean, you wouldn't walk around with a broken leg, would you? It hurts.
well,
You can't walk
some of
well.
our crazy men would, but they refuse to go to the doctor, but
But at some point, they got to go because they literally cannot tolerate the
they'd be
pain.
hobbling into the doctor. Oh, I thought
They're
it would
like, I'm
heal on its
good. I'm
own, but
good.
I'm good. I got this. But
Yeah.
no, I'm
If you
just
have
being
a
silly,
heart
but yeah.
condition,
Yeah.
yeah. If you have a heart condition, you're going to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
If you bust your lip because you fell, you're going to go to the doctor. Your brain is the same way. And the reason it's so important for you to take care of your mental health is because if your mind's not right, the rest of your body follows.
Yep.
There are more people who are walking around on this planet who have some type of mental health issue. It doesn't have to be major,
Yeah.
but it's enough for you to say, hey, it's okay to get some type of assistance because it's your health. Just like your body, your mind needs a professional who specializes. Like I wouldn't suggest you go to a PCM for depression because that's not their forte.
Right.
That's not something they studied. So it's okay if you have depression or anxiety or something like that. It's fine. Everybody goes through something.
Right. And you know
There's
what?
no
And
shame.
I like how you said you gave those few symptoms. And I think even maybe something as simple as, when people think of PTSD, they think of you, like you said, you have to have been in the war, so to speak. But there's a lot of things that people endure that can,
Mm-hmm.
be traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is different for everybody. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And just even something as simple as like not sleeping well. Some people
Mm-hmm.
just kind of mask it by maybe taking a little drink at night or smoking a little weed or
But
all
that's the thing
those
about
types of,
it.
yeah, those types of things. They're self-medicating.
Like, sleeping is important. One of the things I learned when I was, just getting stable is if you're sleep deprived, your mental health isn't right.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Sleep
off.
is, yeah, and not
Hmm.
everybody is optimal at 8 hours, but you need to get at least 6. And if you're not getting that much, you talk to somebody. I'm not saying anything against weed or
Hmm.
alcohol. I drink wine. I know people who smoke weed and they're perfectly good people. I think they should legalize it, honestly, but that's a whole nother
Right.
topic. But if you find yourself having to rely on those things
Right.
just so you can feel
Hmm.
temporarily stable, there's some things you might want to talk to
Hmm.
somebody about, and it's fine. It's totally okay.
Yeah. And I do appreciate you being, open and honest about, you know, talking about your situation.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate that. So for the self, so we talked about the self care.
Mm-hmm.
So now tell us something interesting about you, like something that people might kind of say, "Wow, really?" What would you say?
Oh my goodness, there's
Is that, oh my goodness, there's so much?
no, not at all.
Oh, okay.
There is really not that much. Honestly, I'm a workaholic, right? I
Okay.
really put everything I am into my business and my family.
Okay.
So I'm really absorbed with my family, and then there's my business. And so when they're not meeting me, I'm really absorbed in my business. I have to practice actually taking a day off. So my business runs Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I do whatever I want. And I
Okay.
find myself working because I like it. So there's really nothing interesting about me. Like, I don't really have any hobbies.
No. Okay.
I like movies. Like, me and my husband love food and we like watching movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But really, there's nothing much
Okay.
about me.
Okay. All right. So before we go into your topic,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself?
I would tell myself hands down to listen to my intuition.
Okay.
I ignored my intuition until I was almost 40, late 30s. And then I was like, oh, maybe there's something to it. Your gut, your intuition, I believe, is a gift from God. I think God is like,
Yes.
here is a pearl to you, and you can't explain what it's telling you. You just know it's saying right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And almost every single time I've ignored it, there was trouble.
Yeah.
I did something I wasn't supposed to do. I said something I wasn't supposed to say. I didn't take a move or a step that I was supposed to take. And then was like, oh my gosh, how'd I miss that opportunity? And I would tell my younger self, hands down, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. It never lies. Don't be trying to explain it, dig deeper. What does it say at this moment? Okay, go with that. It's fine. You're going to be okay. Stop worrying.
Yeah, I like that. And same thing with me. I kind of just didn't really pay too much attention to it for a very long time. And I'm not even sure what my stigma was, and why I did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did. I kind of ignored it for a very long time, and accepting it and acknowledging it was very freeing for me. Very
Yes.
freeing for me. Hmm.
Yes.
Yep. So your topic is called "Act in Sight of Fear."
Yes.
So go ahead and talk to us about that.
This is the thing. Anytime you have a goal, a dream, something you want to accomplish, it's scary at first. As a matter of fact, your goal is not big enough if it doesn't make you nervous. If it doesn't give you pause, you're not thinking big enough, right? But then when you start to grow as a person so you can accomplish this goal or be the person you want to be, your subconscious will tell you all kind of crazy stuff. The little person in the back of your head will remind you of all the mistakes you made, all the things you did wrong, because it's trying to protect you. And so you sit back in that fear because you're like, well, maybe it's right. Maybe I shouldn't speak up. And maybe this person won't like me. Maybe I shouldn't take that step. Maybe I'm going to go broke and lose everything. And I encourage you to act in spite of the fear, because usually when the little person is usually like your little boy or girl is jumping up and down, acting a slam fool, it's because you're about to make a big step forward in either who you are, your business, some area of your life, consciousness, realization, something. And if you don't take that step forward, you're never going to make it to where you want to be. Ever, ever, ever going to make it to where you're going to be. So what if you mess up along the way? That's where you learn. Some of your greatest lessons are in your greatest failures, right? So who cares if you fail? Fail often. You should fail, because you can't learn everything from a textbook. Research doesn't show you everything. Your friends can't tell you everything, because sometimes they don't even realize what they know. So if you just sit in one place and you stop because you're like, I'm afraid, I can't, you telling yourself all these lies, if it's negative, really look at it deeply to see, is that wholly true? And if it is true, what can you do to move past it? What can you do to grow from it? But imagine what you could have accomplished. Imagine what you could have done in your life. And it doesn't have to be wealth or riches. Just imagine how hard you could have loved someone. What a good mother you could have been, what a great student you could have been, what school you could have attended if you did not stop when the fear kicked in. So instead of seeing fear as a way to stop, see it as a sign that you are stepping closer to a new and unknown place in your life and in your subconscious, right? You're stepping in a new place, and anything unknown is scary. It's normal, it's natural, it's okay. Don't stop there. Now with that, that's when your intuition will guide you. That little place in your heart or your spirit where God is like, and I don't care what God you might believe in, where your spiritual higher power is telling you, okay, pick up this phone call. Because sometimes your intuition is not going to give you these big signs out of the sky. Sometimes it's something simple like, I don't want to go to this networking event, but I'm going to go. And then at the networking event, you meet the very person who's going to help you make a great presentation so you can land this big deal. Or you meet your future coach, or you meet your future spouse, or something. Listen to your gut, because sometimes your fear will tell you not to do something, and your intuition's like, but you really should take that step, or you really should call this person right now. Use those two together as tools to move you forward. One of the hardest things I did in my first business was to be okay with failure. I remember being in my counselor's chair, just freaking out one day because I'm like, I don't want to fail. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? And she's like, so what if you fail? And it took me a minute. Like, it took probably the breadth of me being in that business for me to understand failure is good. It's good as long as you learn from it. It's good. Naturally, you don't want to do anything that's going to mentally or physically hurt you. But guess what? A lot of times when we think something's going to mentally or physically hurt us, it's really not going to do that. Like, oh, I can't run because it's going to really hurt. Yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to be the first day is going to be the worst day. And then after that, it gets better. And if your doctor's like, do not run, then you can walk. You see what I'm saying? Like, right. Exercise sucks at first, and then it gets a little better. Starting a new business, doing something new is scary. And so you're inside your head, your subconscious might be like, okay, they're going to laugh at your idea, or they're not going to take you seriously. Do it anyway. I'm going to bother people if I keep posting the same thing over and over and over again. Do it anyway.
Yeah, what? Sometimes I have to, and this is all just being open and honest. Sometimes I think like that too. It's like I'll do a post and I'll think like, I'll go to post it again. I'll be like, oh, people are going to be like, well, she keep posting this same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Even though I know that just because you post it one time, doesn't mean everybody saw it. You know what I mean?
Yes. It happens. I say this because it's a talk I give myself on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, me too.
Right? There's like, I just had a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about how I didn't want to post on LinkedIn because I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't want people to ridicule me. And 15 minutes later, I was like, that was so dumb. That was so stupid. And I did a presentation with 1 million cups just last week. And I had written the presentation where it was really just factual. It didn't have anything about me in it until the last part, and I zipped through it. And so when I was getting the feedback from the audience, they were like, look, we wish we knew more about you. You should put that first. And I was like, well, the only reason I didn't want to put it first is because I figured that they wouldn't care about about me until after I told them how I can fix their problem. And a couple of businessmen who had started businesses and sold businesses and invested, they have been there. They were like, no, that is what sells us on an idea, the person we're talking to. We need to know about you first, and then you go on to how you can fix you. Then you go into the problem, blah, 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 blah. But it took somebody reminding me of that. Did I know this? Yes. But I let fear get in my way, and I didn't do that. So it's going to happen. I'm not saying this because I'm pointing my finger and judging. It's a reminder.
Mm-hmm. Well, oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, because I don't want to interrupt, but I've been having little senior moments lately, and I'll forget. So I was gonna say that I don't know, and I've come across this even, with myself, as well as, other people that other entrepreneurs I've spoken with. And I don't know, maybe that's something about like us being women. I think it's some sort of a stigma, maybe that's not the right word, or maybe an uncomfortableness that we get in reference to tooting our own horn, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but don't you come across that a lot? It doesn't matter how many accomplishments we have. And I'm not saying that,
But it is something that we struggle with, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's something that we struggle with because as a society, we're raised to be meek and mild and quiet. And it's conceited or stuck up, right, to sit down and actually talk about us and what we do on our accomplishments. And it's something that is ingrained in us. I think it's something that as women, we kind of, it's a default space. You should speak up, you should say something, mm-hmm, but when the fear kicks in, you automatically go back to being quiet because you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to rub anybody raw. Mm-hmm. You don't want to cause any ripples and waves. And what I will let you know when I'm in my best is when I'm causing waves, when I'm speaking up and saying something, mm-hmm, when I'm opening my mouth. That's when I'm doing my best work because no one will know unless I say it. Yeah. People can't read my mind. Even in a relationship, like I have to remember to talk to my husband because in my brain, I know how I feel. I know what's going through my head. I'm like, why can't you understand that? Because you didn't verbalize it, Rolanda. You can't read your mind. Right. The same thing. Yeah. And with veterans, it's worse because we're such a community that you don't brag in the military. It's all about the team. Okay. So even a commander's like, it's about my team. Thank you, First Sergeant. Thank you, platoon. Thank you. And so by the time you get out of the military, you're still in the team mentality. So when it's time for us to verbalize how great we are and what we do, it's difficult. Now we can write it down on an NCOER, an evaluation, an annual evaluation, but outside of the confines of putting it on paper so we can get evaluated, we're stuck. Even in our resumes, we're like, what are you talking about? Wow. I have to write that down. Yes, you do.
You know what? That's a whole nother dynamic I didn't even think of. You know what I mean? So that probably makes it even more difficult. You know, like you said, in terms of where you come in terms of that transition, mm-hmm, that being able to talk about your accomplishments, and again, like I said, I've never been in the military. I don't come from a military family, mm-hmm, and I hadn't even thought about that, about how it's a team effort.
Yes.
I hadn't even thought about that impact.
It's a paradox almost because we introduce ourselves with our credentials. Our credentials are on our sleeve. You know what rank we are, so you kind of know how much money we made, what we have to do to get to that rank and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we get into a specific job and then we kind of just talk about what training we've had. So we could talk about our credentials because it's necessary to get the mission done. But when it's time to talk about verbalize out loud from our mouths what we've actually done, mm-hmm, it's something more difficult because it's not socially acceptable in that space. And when the few times it is, it's like, it's very regulated. Like, okay, you can talk about yourself in these specific situations, but on a day-to-day basis, when you're walking around, it's the team because you literally can't pull this mission off without your subordinates and your leaders and your peers.
But now, is that the same for men too?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, men by nature will stand up and speak up more than women. However, veteran suffer from that as well, because again, it's about the team.
Right. Okay. Wow. Whole nother dynamic there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask you something else too. Let's see, I forgot. We were talking about. See, I forgot. Your name is pronounced Rolanda?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Rolanda. Rolanda, see, I told you these are my little senior moments. You know what I need to do? I need to have like a little notepad. Well, I can't really write anyway now. I'm left-handed. I'm right-handed. So, but gosh, it was something else that I was gonna say that while we were talking. Okay, so we're talking about like the team effort, like not really talking about yourself. But what was the last topic that we were I can't remember.
It's running my mouth.
Maybe it'll come back to me. But
Okay.
well, did you have anything else that you wanted to share as it relates to, either your own personal experiences, or maybe what you've experienced with some of your clients, and maybe that'll kind of jog my memory and I can remember what I was going to ask you.
What I want to say, not necessarily towards my clients or what have you, is that now is the time for women, particularly women of color and African American women in business.
Okay.
Because for several reasons. One thing is, in the corporate space is still not really made for us to grow. More space is made for us to advance than there was before, but not at the rate that we want to as a community, right? Because of that, we have ventured out and started our own businesses. And because of, I guess, the lack of advancement opportunities, our creativity has kicked in and we've found ways to fill voids that other populations who've had it easier have not found. In addition to that, there's also a big push for diversity. So commercial and corporate and government agencies are looking for women of color, owned businesses to receive services from. They're specifically looking for us. Okay. So if you get your certifications and you do whatever SBA says, there's someone out there, some business, some organization who needs you, who's looking for you. Okay. You might have the same idea as someone else, but they'll choose you because your business because of who you are and how you communicate and the connection they have with you. So if you had a thought about starting a business, if you have an idea that just won't let you sleep, and you're really passionate about this idea, but you're afraid, now is a great time to step out. Look on LinkedIn. Almost every day, there's several women of color, particularly African-American women, who are being announced as presidents and vice presidents and CEOs in high-level positions that otherwise would have been given to Caucasian males maybe 20 years ago. Right. There are women who are making millions of dollars on smaller businesses because they're creative. As women, we are creative. We have to make food stretch. We have to, find a way to love our husbands and our kids so they both feel like they're equally loved. Nowadays, we have to work. There's so many things we have to juggle that creativity is innate in us. We are innovative creatures. Right. So if you have an idea, even if you're like, that is so stupid, or if someone comes to you and has the audacity to tell you that will not make money, prove them wrong. How can your idea make money? Why is it going to work? Start taking on that, the tenacity. Start getting kind of, not defensive, but, in your face about it. Even with it, if it's internally, like, why can't this work? start asking yourself some questions as to how can I make this work? Because this is our time. We're making a big splash. We have a long way to go in society. However, when it comes to business, there are so many opportunities for women of color, particularly African-American women, to make a big splash and be ourselves in the process.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
getting
and be
easier
authentic.
yes, it's getting easier for us to have our kinky hair
Mm-hmm.
and to wear colors. We love, we like to be adorned in our jewelry and our colors, and it's easier for us to do business with all of our curves. We can speak the way we want to speak. We don't have to be corporate and have to be well spoken to make a splash. Be you and get out there and start. Now, you're going to volunteer at first because you're not going to make any money.
Right.
But if you stick with it and leverage what's happening in society and in business, you can do some amazing things. Now is our time. Hop on a boat. There's
now,
enough for everybody.
Now, okay, so talking about African American women or minority businesses in demand. Now, are you lumping nonprofit organizations in there? I mean, as far as like grant funding, or are we just talking about in the private, more so in the private sector?
I'm talking about both.
Both, okay.
There's opportunities in both areas to really do some great work. I don't know much about the nonprofit space, but I do know that there's grants out there for if you fit in a diversity space. So if you can be a woman, a veteran, a woman of color, if you're diverse in some way, shape, form, or fashion, there are grant opportunities. There are more grant opportunities out there than people know of. You just have to let people know you're interested in grants, and you have to do some research. You have to believe that there's a grant out there for you. I'll tell you one off the top of my head. It's called the Amber Grant.
Okay.
I think it's with the Women's Net or Women's Network. Amber Grant. That's for all women-owned businesses.
Okay.
And they do a reward every month, and the application is ridiculously easy.
Okay.
So there's opportunities out there, regardless if you're a for-profit or nonprofit. Nobody's gonna just show up at your door and be like, "Here's $1 million check." You have to do the work to get it.
But it's called the Amber, AMBER?
Amber Grant.
Okay.
If you get in a newsletter, they'll send you a notice every month right before they close out that month's application process. And then at the end of the year, they'll have like one big prize for the people who've won throughout the year.
Okay. Wow. I'll have to look into that. So in closing, tell us, or tell everyone like how they can find you, or if there's any specific programs that you're now enrolling for. Like if they want to connect with you, or they want to get like additional information on maybe the services you provide.
Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Rolanda Sumner, ROLANDESUMNER, at Rolanda Sumner on LinkedIn. You can also find me at lifeafterservicecoaching.com. On the private side, I have a class that's called Business Launch Prep School. It launches on January 20th. I just had my live pilot go through, and it's really going well. I'm also connected with another course called Emerge with Ariel Renault, and we partnered both of our programs together. So I help you get started. I give you the foundation of starting your business, and then she picks up and she helps you launch it. She gives you one-on-one assistance, and she helps you launch it. And so we're going to both launch those programs January 20th.
Nice. I'm going to type your web address in here. So you said it's Life After
Service Coaching.
So Life After Service
Coaching.
LifeAfterServiceCoaching.com. Lisa, wait, we'll have it in here, and I can put it. Okay, LifeAfterServiceCoaching.com. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, there we go. Okay. So that is excellent. Wow.
Thank you.
So Any other closing remarks? Actually, I'm a little interested about this Dr. Seuss quote here that you have. What does it say? It
Okay, it's
says,
supposed to say today, but I took the T-O off in an attempt to clean it up, but it's today. You are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you.
okay. All right.
So I commandeered my son's room, and he's going to take my office, and I just haven't dedicated the time to finish, peel that off the wall and paint.
So I was
So a lot
like,
of times
okay.
people are like, huh?
I was like, okay, we're in her office. Okay, she got a quote about Dr. Seuss. Okay. All right, you know. That's cute. Okay. So I guess we can go ahead and close out then. Yeah, I was trying to think if I had any other questions, but this has been very informative. I've also enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you so much for, coming on and just being open with us and sharing different obstacles and hurdles, I guess, that you've dealt with and, how you have effectively dealt with it. And I think that your services are so, so needed, and you've really kind of opened my eyes to a lot, like a whole segment of women that may need some additional assistance when it comes to starting up their own business in terms of, having that extra support there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And providing us with all of your knowledge and your tools and everything. And it's been so much fun. Like I said, I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And like I said, I had a lot of fun. So thanks everyone for joining us for A Queens Roundtable show, which happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month. I bring on a phenomenal entrepreneur, and we basically, just talk openly about entrepreneurship and just our journey along the entrepreneurial journey, right? And we share each guest shares different tools and techniques to help you be successful, personally as well as professionally. So with that, we will conclude. Thank you again. And also, ladies, leave any questions or comments that you may have. We will definitely, reach out to you. And also, I have included her web address, lifeafterservicecoaching.com. So you can definitely, link up with her there. All right. So thanks again. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And everyone have a good holiday. And I will talk to you all again soon. All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.